The affair began on April 15, 2014, correct?
Yes, ma'am. It was the best day of my life.
Did you feel pressured into being physical with Miss Luna?
No, I instigated it. After school, I went in and said, what could I do for some extra credit? And it was on.
Hello and welcome to the Contrarians, where we're right and you're wrong. I'm Alex.
I'm Julio, and thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, head over to Apple Podcasts to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Help promote the algorithm and spread the word.
You can also find us on SoundCloud to subscribe and review, and don't forget to visit our main website, wearethecontrarians.com.
Follow us on Twitter at Contrarian Prime, and to like us on Facebook, visit facebook.com/Contrarian Prime.
And if you have the willpower to keep up with our pretentious ramblings, you can follow us individually at Contrarian Alex for myself and at Ovnio for Julio. That's OVNIO.
Now, time for the podcast. Okay, we are recording for Contrarians Corner.
All right, 10:07 p.m. Captain's log. We've just welcomed Jennifer Lopez to the podcast.
What an entrance.
What an entrance and what an exit. Hello, and welcome back to the Contrarians, where we're right and you're wrong. My name is Alex, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host and co-friend, Julio Oliveira. Julio, we've just been through 90 minutes of pure hell.
It's
and exhilaration is what I mean by that.
I'm sweating. Just that
much like Jennifer Lopez
in the entire movie. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like a little out of breath. I think. Do you have my EpiPen? Because I was ready to collapse a couple of times during this movie.
Tensions ran hot. And we're recording our 4th anniversary episode after this.
Even though there will be released opposite. So,
which is a shame because this movie's not eligible for the Ruffalo for hottest sex scene.
Well, I mean, it will be in the following year. So in a way, we already have a front runner for the
364 more days till the next pretzel day. Okay, so, yeah, Jennifer Lopez coming on the Contrarians for the first time ever. We're going to have her here in a little bit on the actual podcast. But The Boy Next Door, this was chosen by yourself, Julio, and why?
Well, not quite. It was almost a dare. The guys from Beyond the Box Set did this movie.
That's right.
And that happened
to
be
like this?
I mean, they enjoyed it. I don't think they think it's a good movie.
Are they part of the 10%?
I don't know. I don't think so. But I think they were pretty non-committal about.
Okay.
This movie. You shouldn't watch this movie. And in fact, they said, "Would you guys do this movie?"
I had forgotten about that. That's right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm happy to watch this anytime.
This
really.
is our Patreon bonus listener series.
Exactly. Yeah. We will watch anything if you dare us.
Well,
almost.
We watched Paul Blart Mall Cop, and that was back before anyone listened to the podcast.
Yeah, nobody dared us. We just did it to prove a point.
The Boy Next Door, starring Jennifer Lopez, the 2015, just missed the award season. Came out in January 23rd of that year.
Palate cleanser,
as I adjusted about 10%. That's where she and this film stand on Rotten Tomatoes. Directed by Robert Cohen, who... we'll get a bit more into this in Real Talk, but this movie had a $4 million budget. That's Rob Cohen wipes his balls with $4 million. So he was dead set to make the most of this, and the most of it he did. Julio, what were the critics saying about this?
So at 10%, it's just like a sea of green splotches all over the Rotten Tomatoes website, and then you have to dig deep to find the fresh. So of course we'll get to the fresh and Real Talk. But for right now, we'll start with Tom Huddleston from Time Out, who says, Jennifer Lopez has serious beefcake issues in this lazy, low-budget, not as much fun as it should be potboiler.
Beefcake?
I mean...
With
there is
Luis
some serious-
Guzman's son, Ryan Guzman.
Ryan Beefcake Guzman. J.R. Jones from Chicago Reader says, I haven't seen a bigger mess in wide release since Dana Carvey's career terminating The Master of Disguise.
Oh man, that's
Dana Carvey brought out to the field for no reason.
who. What was the name of that critic?
J.R. Jones.
He had that in the holster for what would have been 14 years at this point.
It's like, I just need one more movie. If this one doesn't do it, it doesn't matter. I'm going to bring it up anyway. Ed Whitfield from the Ooh Tray, that's literally the Ooh Tray, OOH.
Fair enough.
Our faith in intergenerational relationships is dangerously compromised. He felt threatened by this movie.
Okay.
Him and his 19-year-old girlfriend.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's a pretty large age disparity here.
Intergenerational relationships. Ed, be careful.
This is the future liberals want.
Linda Cook from Quad City Times, Davenport, IA. If the phrase Lifetime movie gone bad is understandable, you'll get just how awful this is. I've never seen a Lifetime movie, I don't think.
I know Kristen Wiig and Will Ferrell did that one a few years ago.
Oh, but that was intentionally bad, right?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be like a parody of... Did Lifetime movie knew that when they aired it?
I don't know. I still don't know. Me and Reed have talked about that.
Dude, just like score.
Do they know, like, what? Where does the joke begin and end here?
And finally, Steve Newton from Georgia Strait says, sorry, J-Lo, but since you also had the gall to executive produce this shameless turkey, your nickname now is J. New Low.
Oh, that was lazy.
Boo.
Could have just said J. Blow. So much easier. All right. So, for you first-time listeners out there, if this is your first time listening, thank you. Thank you for joining us. And returning listeners, we got to get our spiel out of the way. This is the first half of the podcast. We do have two halves to it. We have the first half here, which is Contrarians Corner, #CC, as it's jestingly referred to on occasion. This is where we rage against the Rotten Tomatoes machine and make a case.
What a machine. He gave 10% to this movie.
And if you want to know how we really feel about The Boy Next Door, just stick around for real talk and you'll hear about it.
In spades.
Claire Peterson, Jennifer Lopez, living somewhere in a rural suburb of fucking Topeka, Kansas. It looks like the heartland of America, where, of course, one of the fucking high school teachers looks like Jennifer Lopez. She's struggling after the separation of her husband, Garrett, John Corbett, Aiden from Sex and the City fame.
Not John Hurd.
No.
And I know John Corbett. Like, I've seen him in plenty of movies and everything, and yet here he's just doing such a great job of pretending to be John Hurd that it took me a moment until you IMDb'd him. I didn't know that was him.
Yeah. And then I know him as Aiden from Sex and the City, as I am a fan of Sex and the City. Only the television show, not the movies. But you say what everyone else says when his name comes up, my big fat Italian wedding.
Greek wedding, Alex. Greek.
Just offended some of our Anglo listeners. I apologize.
Both Greek and Italian. They're like, fuck you.
The hate mail will be spewing. John Corbett was caught cheating with his secretary in, was it San Francisco? And
that we know for sure.
Yeah, they're estranged. They have their son Kevin, who's played by an actor named Ian Nelson. And no disrespect to Mr. Nelson, but Kevin is easily the most forgettable character in this movie.
This movie happens around Kevin.
This should be called "We Don't Need to Talk About Kevin."
So we won't.
And we don't.
This is pretty awesome because it's a very intense 5-minute flashback at the beginning.
That's right. J-Lo's running through the vast cornfields of Canada or wherever the fuck they are and having all these flashbacks.
It's just like with these weird filters. It's like blue and orange and the camera is all tilted and they just keep coming at you. It's like previously on The Boy Next Door.
Yeah, exactly. And her best friend Vicky, not Amy Sedaris, is telling her, girl, you need to dump his ass or, something to that effect. It's
so crazy because, she's running and you get all the flashbacks and then it finally settles on this scene where she's talking to, Glinda the Good Witch. And and you're like, oh, wait, are we like in the movie now? Because there's really no transition or anything. It just happens. I like it because
we get submerged right away.
Right, this is how JLo feels the entire movie. So Rob Cohen very successfully just put us in her mind space. This is what it's like when a 19-year-old is playing with you.
And plays with her does a 19-year-old. Enter Noah Sandborn. I did not hear his last name said once in the movie, but here it is right here. Played by Ryan Guzman, who is of Heroes fame. Was about the only other thing I could find him from. And
it doesn't matter. After you watch this movie,
he's going to be
yeah.
Noah. He was apparently in a Linklater joint. Everybody Wants Some.
Really?
Yes, he was also in Step Up Revolution, so Eddie Strait might be able to help us out with that one. So he moves in next door because his uncle lives there, and his uncle's old and needs someone to take care of him, right?
His uncle is having some sort of surgery, some serious procedure where everybody's like joking around about it.
He's like getting a bone marrow transplant, and
Right.
J-Lo's
It's
like,
some
oh,
serious
my
stuff."
body.
Yeah, he's really old.
But he's lean, trim, cut, buff,
You
jacked.
can see the jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's obviously just a great kid right there, just there to charm the pants off of at least Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah, I mean, anybody, really.
He is like a Finn Balor type of, prefer men or women, who cares? If bear hungry, he'll eat, that type of thing.
He is, but let's not mince words. I mean, the movie's title might be misleading, but here are the Contrarians. We give it to you straight. So this is no boy next door. This is the man next door. He is. I understand the title of the movie refers to JLo's huge mistake of underestimating him and thinking of him as a child.
Yeah,
but this is the dude.
No, this is a man.
Yeah,
what's the thing we always quote on here? The Sarah Marshall. That boy? No, that was a man.
That was a fucking man.
The man next door. So Claire's son, Kevin, befriends him. We find out pretty quickly that Noah's a bit of a drifter in that his whole family died in a car wreck. So, I mean, just sympathy out the wazoo already for this kid. And he's cool. He's taking Kevin under his wing. And Kevin's kind of a pre-potion Jerry Lewis and the Nutty Professor type of, he's kind of nerdy.
Can't talk to girls.
No, not at all. So Noah's there to kind of show him, not kind of, but to show him the ropes. Right away, the chemistry, the tension is palpable between Noah and Claire. They're talking about Homer's...
the Iliad?
Iliad, that's what it was. Yeah, and they're like finishing each other's quotes and thoughts on it. And
that's how you know that there's a connection.
Yeah, and then Kevin and not Amy Sedaris are just sitting there like, look at them. What are they talking about? Meanwhile, sparks flying in the background.
Yeah, I understand because Kevin is so sheltered and socially awkward that he can't tell what we can, which is, wow, the sexual tension here is...
And also, he's just like, no one would find my mom hot.
What is that like, to be Jayla's son?
That is
right. That's what I mean. Because
there's a bunch of Noahs out there trying to bone your mom.
Exactly, and they don't even have to look like Noah, but they just have to think that they're like Noah.
Just have to look like Batman.
Yep. But then, not Amy Sedaris. She has no excuse. She's
a grown woman,
right? And the movie depicts her as somebody who gets around, so she should be able to spot the sexual tension. The most she says is, I get a weird vibe off this kid. One, not a kid, a man.
The man next door.
Two, come on now. I mean, it's not just that what you get from him. You're friends with J-Lo, so that's... when you're friends with somebody that's that attractive.
Yes.
There's no escaping that fact, unless the movie's saying that because they've been friends for so long, she's just blinded to it.
Yeah.
She's forgotten that J-Lo's super hot.
Blinded by the J-Lo light.
She's gotten used to it.
During all this that we're discussing, Garrett, John Corbett, his mission is to get the family back together. So what he's trying to do is put together a trip. Wants the family to go out. He gets Kevin to go. J-Lo's not entirely sure about it. She's going to stay behind. So
because he makes a mistake of saying that...
he's going to San Francisco. That's right.
And she's like, you're going to see that whore again.
You do a terrible Jennifer Lopez, just by the way.
But that's angry Jennifer Lopez.
Okay.
Doesn't happen very often in this movie. She has such patience in this movie. But the moment that you bring up the woman that not John Hurt slept with, that's when she loses it.
That's right.
Everything else, she's pretty slick about. But
patience of Job.
Yeah. I think that this is really what's at the core of the movie, and the 10% people that like it probably get to they understand it, whereas the 90% that didn't like it are missing the point, or maybe they're outward, they're just rejecting it outright. And that is that this is a movie about a return to conservative values, right? The family unit. The family unit here is John Corbett, the kid that nobody knows about, nobody remembers, and J-Lo. Sure, he made a mistake, but the entire movie is about, can we forgive him?
Yes.
Right? And J-Lo instead, she's kind of, I don't know if I want to. Maybe I'm going to play the field for a little while. She goes on dates, and even worse things happen down the line. But none of this movie would happen if she would just embrace her husband back. Right? For better or for worse, till death do us part. That doesn't mean, hey, if you cheat on me, I'm just going to forget about it and destroy this family. So
you bottle it up, you hold on to it until a violent outburst happens years and years down the road.
Right, and this, I mean, he's trying. It's not like the movie show us that John Corbett is still fucking around and being a terrible person. He is a saint through the entire movie.
He does pay for his sins later on in the film. Noah obviously does not go with them. He's not too close with these two at this point, so he hangs behind. He's got this real sweet penthouse garage apartment at his uncle's place that has floor-to-ceiling window from side to side, so he's just walking around in the buff, and he catches J-Lo ogling from across the street, and, tensions, again, rising.
Yeah, this time there's nobody to witness it, so it's even worse. We are there. We're the witness. Yeah, the movie didn't take too long to give us just
man-ass
right away.
This leads into a horrendous double date scenario where not Amy Sedaris hooks up Jennifer Lopez with one of her friends. I couldn't tell who was dating who at the table. I just know Keith from Scrubs was one of the men there.
Was Keith the terrible one, or
no? Keith was like the big doucher with the big tall hair.
Okay, so he hardly even got any lines.
Correct.
That's gotta suck. He was like, "Hey, I'm the guy from Scrubs.
Hey, I'm Keith from Scrubs.
Can I be the asshole in this scene?"
But in this scenario, completely believable is Kristen Chenoweth, slayer of the men. Jennifer Lopez can't find a man to save her life, so she needs help being hooked up with a man.
Yeah, and
completely realistic, relatable scenario.
And she gets this dude that scoffs at the fact that she teaches classics, and he's all, well, you should be teaching our kids how to get jobs, because who's gonna care about the Iliad? And then J-Lo, I guess, I understand the movie's making the point that the single scene is a nightmare, and yes, I agree, which is why she should just be working on fixing her marriage instead of trying to start from scratch with someone else.
Yeah.
This should drive home the point that, hey, you're lucky that you got John Hurt, or not John Hurt, with you, even though he made a mistake earlier. But then on top of that, if you're going to play the single scene, you got to be a little, it's a give and take.
Yeah.
You can't just walk out the moment that somebody insults your profession.
Yes.
Just laugh. Throw another jab back at him. It's like, what do you do? Oh, you're an accountant? It sounds boring.
I'm going to go now. I have someone waiting for me across the street.
And I'm racing his ass.
Yes. It's like the reverse Travolta introduction in Basic. We just saw the front of Travolta right here. We're getting the back of Ryan Guzman.
No towel.
No towel, that's right. So J-Lo heads home. Noah calls her, says he needs help defrosting a chicken, which we all know what that means. We're all adults.
The old frosted chicken trick.
So he goes over there she goes over there to help him out, and despite her hesitation, he seduces her with fairly, I don't know. So it's a bit uncomfortable because she is saying no at first, but then starts liking it.
She's doing she says no, but then she bites her lower lip.
Time. Yeah, it's
one of those things you would never get away with that here in 2018.
It's only 3 years old, but yeah.
But yeah, no, now that's no.
There's no gray area anymore.
But then, it
was like Straw Dogs.
Yeah, Straw Dogs was such a gray area bit that I can't even make a joke about that. But no, here, so J-Lo is, there's so many things that are just, it's a minefield, right? Because she's been drinking. She's been drinking from her date. And she's feeling vulnerable, she says it later, because they were making fun of her profession and because she's conflicted about John Corbett. And also, she just saw this dude naked earlier.
Yeah.
So all that stuff messes with your head.
Well, and again, let us not take away from J-Lo's performance in this scene. That's
Right.
the most powerful part of it all.
You can read it all on her face, right? Because at the same time, you can justify it to yourself if you're in J-Lo's position. Well, my husband cheated on me. This guy's been really sweet. He's hot. And I'm not having any luck for some reason. I'm not having any luck out there as a single mom. So why not, right? And so she makes a mistake. And the movie, I don't think the movie ever condemns her for making the mistake. The movie condemns her for everything else she does.
Yes, and I applaud them for never demonizing her for actually sleeping with, because he's 19.
Right, he's 19.
Yeah.
She's not. If he really was the boy, if he really was the boy next door, they would have a completely different Pandora box to open.
This is like
movie.
Miko Hughes and Mercury Rising or something. Yeah, we'd have a different story we're talking about here.
It would be the pedophile next door, and it would be J-Lo on the poster just by herself. No, this
There
is
no gray area about his age.
right. No, here he's a dude. He's a man. He can carry her, which he does.
Yes.
He carries her to the bed. They have a grand old time.
They do.
It's shot. Rob Cohen, hat off to you, buddy.
And J-Lo didn't use a body double.
Right, because I have in my notes, it's like such fearless filmmaking. It just, for no body doubles, we're going to go straight for, because that's what people want. And I'm not saying that because, oh, well, I'm a perv, I want to see like J-Lo naked. It's just that when your movie promises something, I think that you should follow through.
Yes.
You're promising me an erotic thriller with Jennifer Lopez and Ryan Guzman. Oh, I expect them to get naked.
That's where your made-for-lifetime bullshit argument ends, because this is an R-rated feature-length film. We can supply you with nudity in this.
Right. I think that there are some things where you need body doubles, right? Obviously, you're shooting an action movie, some dude gets shot, you need a stuntman to right? I'm not gonna argue for the actor to put his life in danger over there. Just get a professional or whatever. But when you're having a sex scene, that doesn't show actual penetration.
Yeah, Lars Van Trier didn't direct this.
Right. Then just it doesn't get you out of the movie. When you're watching a sex scene where it's very clear that they're avoiding showing the faces, then that takes you out of the movie. And the whole point, this is the pivotal scene of the movie. This is, if I don't believe that these two are having sex, and not just sex, but like awesome sex, then the movie doesn't work. So every time the camera panned and showed that, oh, it's still Jennifer Lopez and Ryan Guzman doing this, that was amazing.
I audibly went, oh, like twice when that was going on.
And then you looked down to write something, and then looked up, and it was still going. It was like, oh.
So they do the deed. She falls asleep, as you do typically afterwards. She wakes up the next day, not hungover, but more of just like the walk of shame. Only there's implications here because it's her son's friend. Again, not demonizing her for sleeping with a 19-year-old, more or less just the social situation at hand.
Right, and it happens.
Yeah, and he comes and has breakfast in bed, and she's like, no, this was a mistake. I don't need to do this. So he punches the wall, and then the good Samaritan that Claire Peterson is, Jennifer Lopez, she just hangs around and tends to his hand now.
That's this guy, he knows how to play Jennifer Lopez. First, the chicken that needed to be defrosted. Now the hands that need to be tended to because his hand is a mess after he punches the wall. Pretty good. I mean, it already gives you. We're not even. He hasn't gone full villain yet, but you can already tell that he's not. He's not just beefcake.
Oh no, the wheels.
This guy.
There's stuff going on behind the eyes.
Yep.
He's just not a body. School year begins. Claire's back in class. Noah hacks her email, so he's transferring schools now. He's a 19-year-old senior, which I'm not entirely sure of how that works.
He skipped, he fell behind.
Okay.
Right, because
his family died.
His family died, so then you get a year off school.
So he gets himself put into her class. because he hacks her email saying he would be a fine addition to my classroom. He also, in the meantime, is working on manipulating Kevin to hate his father. He's just trying to cover, all his X's and O's to make sure that he's got an end to the family.
He also, well, this was before they had sex, but just another crumb on the way to achieving nirvana with Jennifer Lopez. He gave her a first edition of the Iliad, which. And then when he arrives at her class, I think they're studying the Iliad, right? Or is it the Odyssey? I don't know, but they're like
it's
very
one
much
of Homer's adventures.
Which I appreciate the continuity in the plotting and how much this movie worked to bring Homer's poems back to relevance in the year 2000, in the new millennium.
Because Jennifer Lopez is clearly a person that's tenured in this subject.
Well, yeah, she executive produced this. She just it can't be all about sex.
I'll produce it. If we talk about the Iliad.
Please, it's been a while since Troy. It's time for Achilles and the gang to come back.
Noah is pretty much infiltrating every aspect of Kevin's life, including his physical activity. They take boxing together, and he just gets them all riled up. It's this trope that's not used except for two parts in the film, where I don't really know what his condition is, but if Kevin gets overexerted, he needs an EpiPen. So Noah gives him the EpiPen.
It's a pretty awesome scene because by now you're starting to get a feeling that he's a creep, but then he saves the kid's life, which is that's layers, right?
Yes.
The kid collapses, he's dying, and it's not just that he saved his life, but that for a brief moment it looks like Noah doesn't even know what to do. He has true fear. So he looks like a human being. It's not because from the moment that he conquers Mount J-Lo, from moments that he unlocks that achievement, it's hard not to look at him as some sort of superhuman being, right?
Yes.
But then suddenly you see him brought to just being a normal guy when his buddy is having like an asthma attack or some sort of.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure the medical. Like I said, when we were watching this, I'm like, I don't really know what an EpiPen does. I don't know if it's something to do with diabetes or if you know, please email us. So
I thought it was when a bee
like an
stung
uncultured swine.
Yeah, I'm sure it has many uses.
Yes,
and certainly has many uses in this movie.
It does.
But yeah, it was fun to see him not knowing what to do because by now you're thinking, wow, this guy is a chess master. He's always 10 steps ahead. But here he lucks out that somebody else is taking on his leg, and then he
then someone off stage left. Oh, just stick it in his leg. After this, to be the ultimate level of Dawn, Noah saves her son's life and then sends Jennifer Lopez flowers. That I forget what the card says, but please
forgive me.
Yeah, something.
Give
like
me
that.
another chance.
So she confronts him in the school gymnasium, and the coach sees her like put her hands on his chest, like in his no, don't do it, that type of thing.
That guy would be later subpoenaed for the Supreme Court hearing of Noah, and he'd be like, "Yeah, she was totally all over him.
She did that shit, man." Noah from his rooftop. He has. Do you remember the show Hey Arnold?
Never watched it, but I know the kid with the weird head, right?
Yeah. I realized Noah has Arnold's room. If you had seen the show, you would know that.
That Arnold had his walls.
He had like this
wallpaper with Jennifer Lopez pictures.
He had like this rooftop suite with this huge like floor to ceiling window, like fucking Noah's got here. So, no, the hidden room is the one with all the Jennifer Lopez pictures. That's where he, like, kills
that's
people.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Noah sees Claire and Garrett come home together after going on a date. He watches them go inside. Garrett tries to make a move on Claire, but she's like, no, can't do it. Too soon.
Too soon after I already had this move pulled on me.
And then the true humanizing moment for John Corbett, he's like, I had too much to drink. Can I crash on the couch?
That guy, he's a saint. I told you, the way that he takes rejection is heartbreaking. It's also very sympathetic because he doesn't try to play it off like, okay, well, whatever. You can see that he's hurting.
Yeah.
But then he says, that's okay. I'm hurting, but I'll still wait for you.
I'll be here. So Noah goes crazy. He sees this. The next day at school, isn't it when he beats the fuck out of the bully that's messing with Kevin?
Yes.
Yeah. He just beats the shit out of this kid and fractures his skull. It's actually a disturbing scene because it's like Rob Zombie's Halloween, when young Michael just beats the shit out of the bully. It's kind of something along those lines. And then he gets expelled by not Amy Sedaris, and not before he verbally berates her for being... he says some very unnice things about her.
It's his full heel turn, I guess you would.
Hey,
he goes overboard, and she stands up to him, which is great.
She tries to slap him, but he does the
right. Well, I mean, he is 3 times her size, so it was gonna be a losing battle no matter what.
Fair,
but she has balls. Like there are 20, 30 people watching Noah beat up that kid, and nobody intervenes really until she jumps in.
And then the school janitor or somebody comes up and, bear hugs him and carries him off stage left.
And then cut to not Amy Sedaris' office, and she's with him by himself. Where's security?
No security. He's just standing against the...
Because they know she can take it.
He's standing in the back corner. You're tearing me apart. And she expels him. He's out of there. Get the fuck out of there. Also, I love hearing you use wrestling terminology. It's quite great. The school dances that same night, if I'm following this movie chronologically.
Yeah.
And Kevin has a really hot date. Yeah. One of the girls that Noah taught him how to talk to. So Jennifer Lopez takes him to his date. She's just kind of standing there.
She literally walks him through the room until he gets to his date.
It's kind of dropped here that there's been a lot of tension within the family, a lot of infighting with Kevin and his mom and Kevin and his dad. But as soon as the dance happens, it's all kind of dropped.
Well, dance have that magical power of...
They do. Haven't you ever seen Disney's Prom? Incidentally, I forget the girl's name that he took, but she tells Jennifer Lopez, Miss Peterson, there's something wrong with the boys' bathroom. And this is where we get our crossover scene where Marv and Daniel Stern, I believe they're one and the same. Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci, the Wet Bandits, had come through fucking whatever, Topeka High or wherever they are, and clogged up the sinks in the bathroom. Because Jennifer Lopez walks in and she's like, hey, paper towels don't belong in the sink. And then she turns around like The Shining and it's all on the wall. I fucked Claire Peterson. Isn't that what it says?
Yeah. You don't come back from that. I mean, Noah just... Up till then, I think he could argue that he was just being a little... his approach was a little too strong in courting this older woman. But now, it just...
Cards on the table.
Yeah, now he's committed to just doing it by force.
Yes, and things get rough here because he's in the bathroom again. How he got back on a school campus, I don't know.
Well, he's a triple threat. He's smart, he's hot,
and he's charming.
Well, he can kickbox.
This is
quadruple threat. Nothing could stop him.
No,
he's like Daredevil.
He's a triple threat plus one more. So, there's no beating around this. He pretty much tries to rape Jennifer Lopez in this scene.
Yeah, it's pretty scary dry humping.
Yeah, pretty suggestive. But she gets free and knees him in the balls, which is kind of like a fuck yeah moment. And she says, stay away from me. And doesn't she say, stay away from my family or I'll end you? I know she doesn't say that, but I wish she had.
Well, we can read it in the subtext. So, there's never any consequence to what he wrote in the bathroom, because she says it's your word against mine.
Never comes back up.
If anybody says, hey,
that's
somebody
the
wrote in the
post-credit
bathroom
scene where the janitor goes in, oh my, these paper towels don't belong here.
Oh, Marv fucked Claire Peterson. Well, I mean, I think that the only thing we can assume is that after she kneed him in the balls, Noah just cleaned it up.
Yeah.
Right? Because nobody's teasing Kevin the next day at school. Nobody's bringing it up to her. I mean, he ups the ante on his next attack. But this bathroom shenanigans, they're never addressed. So I guess he took it back.
He just had the paint thinner with him that he could just get it off the walls really quick. Yeah, he definitely ups the ante because Claire comes back to school the next day and in her class there's all these pictures plastered everywhere of her and Noah mid-coitus or cuddling nude or whatever the case. But he definitely had enough time to get up there and put up several hundred copies of it because she's scrambling like a madman trying to get all of them taken down.
Yeah, she locks the students out of the classroom so she can just do the little bit of sex cleanup. They're still printing when she walks in.
Yeah.
So he had just left.
Apparently. Either that or he, put some kind of bug in there like Jeff Goldblum puts in the Alien Starship and Independence Day that just blows the whole system up.
He uses a Mac, so anything is possible.
It's true. This was a 2015 Mac, but he was still apparently running like 1999 processor on it. During the scope of all this, there's this really weird scene of revenge where Noah lures back a young blonde female to his room, and we don't really know who it is. We weren't able to tell if it was the girl that Kevin had taken as his date to the school dance, but he has sex with her with all the windows open with the intention of, Jennifer Lopez seeing, and she does.
Oh, yeah. He knows her by now. She knows that she's weak. So even though they're enemies by now, right? There was attempted rape, and
she just can't stay away.
Well, she has to look. I wonder if there is online searches, like if you go to Google and you Google, is the blonde girl having sex with Noah the same girl that Kevin took to prom? If that actually has like a lot of hits.
Yeah. Because
it seems ambiguous enough that like intentionally ambiguous, right? It makes sense that it would be. Why? Because
he's evil and vindictive.
Well, also he's a mastermind, right? But when Kevin goes to ask her to the dance, he's standing in the background, and she looks up to him, to Noah in the background, and he gives her the nod, and then she says, "Yes, well, I can go to the dance with you." So I think that's establishing they had a relationship that Kevin was not aware of. So maybe they were already having sex before, and this is just him setting it up.
Interesting. You read way into this movie, far more than the 90% that just so casually cast it to the side.
It happens to be the second time I watched it, Alex, so I don't blame you for missing the little details. You're still reeling from the sex scene 20 minutes later.
That's very fair. Claire Peterson finds out through Noah explaining, hey, I have more pictures. I have a tape of us. I got it all. So he's blackmailing her. Into what? Not really sure. Again, she asks, what do you think is going to happen? We're just going to be able to, be a couple and ride off into the sunset together?
He just says, sweet, sweet sex. Let's take it one fuck at a time.
Unfortunately, timed with all this, Kevin and Garrett are in a near-fatal car accident when the brakes no longer work on Garrett's sports car. More on that to come later.
That's for how much the movie has ignored him. Here he gets the closest anybody in the movie gets to an Oscar speech, right? An Oscar clip. Kevin, yeah, he has a breakdown while he's driving. It's so sweet in a way because this makes sense with the way the movie has treated him, right? The way the movie has treated him is the way that his family has treated him. Because J-Lo and John Corbett, they've had their issues, and the whole point is that children of fractured families are a lot more vulnerable because suddenly they're no longer the focus of these two people's love. Now these two people are fighting, and the kids kind of have to fend for themselves, and so that's what the movie does to Kevin. And then in this scene, it just explodes.
It does, metaphorically and literally.
Well, yeah. At first he's driving fast just because he's mad, and then he's driving faster because the brakes don't work.
And then they crash into those huge barriers that are filled with water. And he immediately, as soon as it breaks, he breaks and immediately embraces his father.
I think it's telling that he doesn't need the EpiPen in this instance, even though it was high tension. Certainly more high tension than when he needed it earlier in the movie where he was just punching a bag.
Yeah.
But you know why he didn't need it? Because he had his dad with him. That's the entire point of the movie, man. Kevin needed his dad just like J-Lo needed her husband.
Garrett. The movie is the story of Garrett and how necessary John Corbett is to
anyone's life.
Yeah, there's a lot of J-Lo getting groped against her will throughout this too, which is very
unsettling,
disconcerting. Her and not Amy Sedaris figure out a way to lure Noah away from his house so that J-Lo can break in and find this alleged tape.
Right, so they get not Amy Sedaris inside J-Lo's car, and then Noah's following her thinking he's following J-Lo. Unfortunately, even though they're pretty much interchangeable when they're inside cars, once you actually look at them, they're not quite the same. And as soon as Noah takes a peek through the driver's window and sees that it's as Kristen Chenoweth, then the gig is up.
Damn, fooled again. Hops the curb, starts heading back.
Kudos to Kristen Chenoweth for not even pretending that she was J-Lo once he saw her. Because...
Oh, it's me, J-Lo. And he heads back. J-Lo, God bless her. The movie, it's 2015, but she's searching around the house like there's going to be a goddamn VHS labeled "I fucked Claire Peterson XXX."
I think that's the movie making a point. Hey, there's a generational gap between these two lovebirds.
It could never work. She does find hidden cameras sprinkled throughout the house, and she does find his side room, his killer shack, where the room is plastered with pictures of Jennifer Lopez, and also pulls up his computer, which again is a Mac. Possibilities are endless. Finds a folder. This kid never had a family computer. The folder's just labeled Claire pictures. You got a porn folder in your computer, you label it homework, skateboarding pictures.
Yeah, he saves his password.
Oh, okay.
He has the check mark.
That's right. She had to try Claire, and it wasn't that. And then it was Claire 123. Ding. So she finds that, deletes that folder, and also finds all his plans and blueprints on his desktop of how the brake systems, how the brake systems in different cars work. Through this, we find out that 1, he cut the brakes on Garrett and Kevin's Joyride, and then 2, he killed his parents because he cut the brakes on their minivan. Yeah. Well,
there is one last reveal, but I guess that happens in the climax, so we'll wait to get there. But what I was thinking is, as crazy as Noah is, and he is crazy, can you really blame him for recording the whole thing? Because that is,
no.
I mean, for all his bravado or whatever, he is 19, and in his mind, this could have been just like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It's never going to happen again. And who's going to believe me when I tell him I had sex with Jennifer Lopez? I need some proof.
It's fair. And I mean, truth be told, if the word got out of the school, he'd be, the local legend.
Forever.
He
would just become principal.
They would have something in the cafeteria menu named after him. What's like the best thing? It's the little square piece of pizza that you get at high school cafeterias. Noah killed his family. Now he's going after not Amy Sedaris. That's what my notes say. Oh, Vicky. That's right. He uses her as bait to lure in Kevin, Garrett, and Claire, and then he just fucking brutally murders Vicky.
So the first 2 are easy, right? He just he calls Kevin, and he says, I'm at not Amy Sedaris' house. Mm-hmm. Come over. I need help with something. Bring your dad. Easy. And now he knows that J-Lo is going to be more suspicious because she's seen the darker side of him. So he uses the amazing power of the iPhone in 2015 to replicate Amy Sedaris' voice, mm-hmm. and pretends that he is her and calls Jennifer Lopez, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I have not quite the newest iPhone, but my iPhone right now is better than the one he had back then. But it just shows that he knows more about Apple than I do.
So Claire, J-Lo, shows up, and all the lights are off. So despite the generational gap, she does have the wherewithal to use the flashlight on her phone to navigate through. And doesn't she open like a closet, and then Kristen Chenoweth, just her bloody corpse falls out?
Well, first she steps on her cat, I think.
That's right, because you got to have the jump scare.
It's a double whammy of a scare.
Yeah.
Where just when you're like, oh, God, it was just a cat. Oh, shit, there is a real dead body there.
Mm-hmm. And it's dead. Like, I thought she was going to wake back up, but nope.
No, it's probably the nastiest death. Well, I guess it's the one death we've seen in this movie, right?
We don't see her actually get killed, but yeah, they spared no expense. 1 million of the 4 million went to the death makeup that she had on. So the whole family's hostage. They're in a barn in the back of Vicky's house or on her farm, wherever they are. And John Corbet's tied up. Kevin's tied up. J-Lo's tied up. And
well, J-Lo's emotionally tied up.
That's right. Was she actually tied up?
No, she wasn't, because they have this whole dance there.
Oh, that's right. For some reason,
but actually, before he grabs her, that's the big reveal. When he reveals that she accuses him of killing his parents, and then he says, "No, my mom killed herself, but my cheating father and his whore, they deserve what they got." And that's where you feel for Noah again, because you realize that just like Kevin, he comes from a fractured family.
That was his motivation. In Kevin, he saw a lot of himself.
Yeah, and You can't blame him.
In J-Lo, he saw his mother that he wanted to have sex with.
Well, I mean, I don't think that you need to remember. J-Lo
Or his
doesn't...
like confessions, just like, she was just really hot, man.
Pretty much. Like,
And during all this, like as this exposition's going on, Kevin's like, "Dude, you fuck my mom." He does not get. I'm pretty sure when the movie ends, Kevin still doesn't know what happened.
he just went crazy.
I don't know, man.
Mom, did you flunk him? Did you not like his book?
What happens here? So he starts a fire, trying to burn everything down. I guess he gives Jennifer Lopez one last chance. She stabs the EpiPen in his eye.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody saw that coming.
No, that was good. I don't know where she got it. Or maybe when she was checking on Kevin.
Right, she was checking on Kevin,
Took
who
it from the holster.
once again he manages not to have a panic attack.
No.
And the situations have escalated, right?
Very much.
He had a panic attack when he was punching the punching bag. Didn't have a panic attack when he almost got into a car accident with his dad. And now where he is in a barn that's ablaze.
Yeah.
And his psycho ex-best friend has a gun. His dad is all tied up and bloody, and he's about to sort of rape his mom.
Mm-hmm.
Cool as a cucumber, that kid. He's leveled up throughout the movie.
And we don't see the actual beating, but man, fucking Garrett's just beat to shit. He looks like Nicolas Cage at the end of Snake Eyes. And he's like trying to maneuver his hands, and he somehow, both of them, MacGyver their way out of the situation they're in. They escape, and Garrett tells J-Lo, like, get out of here, it's okay. And then just gets shot horrifically.
That made you jump. I saw you jump.
I was just astonished.
You thought that the movie was winding down, and then one last jolt.
Still, truth be told, there's only like 45 seconds left in this, but John Corbett gets just like shot right in the chest. I was like, what the fuck? And there's also the horrific and disgusting dead alive like close up of J-Lo putting her thumb into Noah's eye and like just starts oozing and goozing.
Right. Once again, we don't know what an EpiPen really does, but I guess there's a mixture because
we know what J-Lo's thumb does.
Right. Because when she stabbed him in the eye, that would be game over, right?
Yeah.
If I get stabbed in the eye, that's it. I don't care how hot she is.
He's driven by the urge to have that sweet, sweet candy once again. I mean, to be fair, if I ever had sex with Jennifer Lopez, I'd probably want to do anything I could to replicate it.
Please love me. I will be the father to your kid.
I won't defrost the chicken in the microwave.
Well, I think my rationalization of it, not that it needs any more, because yeah, truly, I guess just wanting J-Lo to love him is probably enough. But I thought it was like the adrenaline shot that Uma Thurman gets in Pulp Fiction, right? It hurts to get stabbed in the heart, but at the same time you get that jolt of energy. So
yes.
Maybe it hurts to get your eyeball popped by an EpiPen, but then it injects something else on you that allows you to keep going for another 5 minutes of movie.
Yeah, but his eye's fucked, and then he makes the classic mistake of walking under the motor that's tied to the roof of the barn.
Which might as well be a piano.
Yes, exactly. And Jennifer Lopez just, you terminated, motherfucker, and then hits the rope, and then the motor falls down and crushes him. Seen it 1,000 times.
Big Acme motor. There was a little bit of bird
and he
seed.
looks up at the last second, then holds the help me sign up towards the camera.
It's a team effort. Everybody gets to kind of wear him down a little bit. J-Lo more than anybody else, but
She wears him down psychologically first.
well, that too. But yeah, John Corbett, before he gets shot, he kind of like, doesn't he throw him across the room? That was pretty impressive.
Oh, dude, yeah, he like fucking ragdolls him. It's fantastic.
Up till, I mean, yeah, if somebody does that to you, then you have to pull the gun out.
Yeah.
Because before that, no, I didn't have the gun.
Well, it's not even like he just gets completely, manhandled and sunned by Aiden from Sex and the City. Of course you're pulling a gun out.
And then at some point, the kid also manages to break free and hits him with a board or something. So everybody gets their licks in, and then walk out of there like a family. Mm-hmm. They're loading John Corbett into the ambulance.
And J-Lo's telling them, we're going to go home as a family. And it's like, I'm fucking dying.
Can we talk about this later?
Yeah, it's not looking good for him.
Well, but he needs that which Noah had, right? Mm-hmm. That thing that allowed him to pull through a stabbed eye, which is knowing that J-Lo is at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
So So no, good. In a way, that's probably the best thing she could have done. No doctor could have given him the will to live that she does in that moment when she says, "We're coming home together.
Yeah.
You're sleeping in the bedroom tonight."
And he looks at her and says, "I want to go home, Forrest." And then we go to these radically stylized Marcus Nispel-esque music video-like credits that I'm still reeling from.
In case you hadn't had enough of the sex scenes, I mean, they only have sex once. J-Lo and Noah.
As the poster says, her mistake, his obsession.
Right. Her one
This
mistake.
is how he led a nation.
But the movie goes back to it a few times because Noah keeps having these flashbacks, and then it happens again at the end credits. So it feels fitting. It's a nice bookend to it. Also, I like the juxtaposition of there's that moment where in the credits you see somebody, probably J-Lo, writing someone, probably Noah, and that's when the movie decides to hit you with written by a woman.
Yeah.
Written by Barbara Curran.
Yeah.
Isn't it like, what are you going to do with that now, huh?
That was definitely unexpected.
Yeah. This movie doesn't stop challenging your preconceptions.
It made me feel like a huge cockbag, too, right after our Kids Are All Right. Talking about, you can clearly tell when it's written by... To be fair, it was just for that movie and the movie Chef, written by Jon Favreau.
But yeah, what a ride. And then by the end, I think that the movie has made a very strong case for family values, traditional family values. That is what you would say working within the system, right? Mm-hmm. Barbara Curran knew what message she wanted to say, but she also knew that liberal Hollywood wasn't just going to make a movie about that. But if you hide your message, if you smuggle it in a movie that seems to be on the surface about Jennifer Lopez having sex with a young boy / man.
I was going to say, boy, he is not.
He loves her like a boy in the sense that he's
That's
naive.
true.
He's never been in love before. What man is not like a boy when he first falls in love?
Especially if it's Jennifer Lopez. I mean, Christ's sake.
You could be 70 and still behave like that.
It
like
could
a
have been the
teenager.
uncle of
Yes.
Noah. So that was The Boy Next Door, The Man Next Door. Do you have anything else to add?
What else could be said about
What
this?
a 90-minute roller coaster ride.
Woo! Just, where's that fan? So I can just fan myself a little more.
All right, we're moving on to Real Talk.
Kevin, let's go.
What a fucking whore you are. Deal you said. Let's make a deal. You trying to play me, Claire? Is that what this is?
Of course not.
Bullshit.
What? Why are you doing this?
Fucking liar.
What is wrong with you?
I'm seeing things clearly now.
You have to stop.
Hey, no, what's going on? Yeah, Mom.
Mom, what just happened? Honey, I need you to stay away from Noah, okay? He's a bad influence.
What are you talking about?
You're just gonna have to trust me on this one, okay?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not gonna trust you, okay? Because you're not taking away the one good friend I have.
He is not your friend.
Bullshit, Mom. He's my friend.
Excuse me? Watch your mouth and get in the car.
No, he said you do this.
What?
He said you do this, and if you did, then it was Dad talking and not you. He's been right. He's
This
been
is
right all
crazy,
along.
okay?
No, wait.
Kevin, I'm asking you to get in the car.
See you at school.
All right, we're recording for Real Talk.
Okay, indeed we are. The Man Next Door, The Boy Next Door, produced by Jennifer Lopez, directed by Robert... Why do I keep calling Robert? Rob Cohen.
Well, I'm sure he was born Robert Cohen, and then he decided he was too cool for that extra syllable.
Written by the aforementioned Barbara Curry. Released on January 23rd, 2015. A very modest budget of $4 million for a box office return of 52.4, so right around 52, 53. Regardless, can't say shit about it. Made its budget back and made some money.
You think that the studio had $4 million lying around, and they're like, what do we do with this? And Rob Cohen raised his hand.
From what I could read, he had to be talked into doing it because he's not used to doing movies with that low of a budget. So he wasn't sure that he was going to get anything back was basically it. But from what I was able to read, he ended up clearing like $2 to $3 million, and they shot the movie in like 3 weeks. So get your fucks in, man.
He's best friends with J-Lo now.
Yeah.
When do we do another one?
Quick bits of trivia I found interesting. Jennifer Lopez admitted the sex scenes with Ryan Guzman were awkward to film. You don't say.
You executive produced it.
Well, what's more weird here is this: how much she believed in it. She wore her own clothes for the movie so that they could save money on wardrobe. Like, she really believed in this project.
So those shoes that they make fun of earlier when
She
Ryan
was
Guzman...
super self-conscious about it.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lopez did not use a body double, like we said. That was, to me, one of the most surprising things, not like in a pervy sense, but just based on what I know about, especially actresses at that notoriety level.
Well, she doesn't need to. That's the thing. Why would you, right?
Well, like Mila Kunis doesn't need to, but she did for a couple movies.
Right. I mean, yeah, so you don't need to, but you would, because it does add that thing where, I mean, I think it's a double-edged sword, because it's distracting either way.
Mm-hmm.
It's distracting because you can see the cuts, the way it's shot to make sure that it's not 100% clear that they're a body double, even though they're a body double.
Yeah.
Or you get distracted because you have the reaction that we had here, which is, holy shit, it is her.
Yeah.
Either way, it's going to take you out of the movie.
She would have been like 45 when this was being filmed or whatever, and man,
it was the victory lap.
Yeah.
She was just 45.
Well, she's still gorgeous, but yeah, as the man in me coming out, I was just like, God damn. But yeah, God bless. And I already forgot homeboy's name, Ryan Guzman. I mean that
he does all right.
Yeah, his dad and his grandpa were just off like behind the camera. That's my boy.
Well, but going back to the nudity though, I think that it's one thing where the movie requires you to be naked for an emotional reason.
Yeah.
Right? But here, it's just a sex scene.
Mm-hmm.
And really, you could have cut from them kissing to her waking up the next morning, and the movie is the same.
Yeah.
It's not like there is this complex emotional arc that happens in that sex scene that couldn't have been achieved unless not just you didn't just show her, but you showed her with J-Lo there, right? So it's more like, what were you trying to prove? I don't get it.
Really made it feel like Cinemaxy. And then the last bit here, I found this to be pretty humorous. The movie's low budget originally did not allow the traffic accident near the end to be filmed, so only the aftermath would be seen. Director Rob Cohen thought it was vital to the show to show the entire accident, so he called in some favors of people who worked on the Fast and Furious, who gave him a discount so he could shoot the scene. However, this caused him to run out of budget for the film's climax. After test screening a rough cut, Cohen felt that Claire should stab Noah in the eye at the end. However, producer Jason Blum, whose low-budget rules state one should stick to the intended budget, refused to pay for the reshoots. Cohen went to Universal Studios, the movie's distributor, and asked for an additional $300,000. He spent the money on reshooting the love scene and the climax, including fake head for Ryan Guzman, which reportedly cost $24,000 to make.
Wait, he asked for how much money? $300,000.
Yes.
Okay.
And I guess the stunt cost about $30,000, including the fake head. So that other $270.
Sexy.
Take it off.
I mean, clearly Rob Cohen cares about the stuff that he's putting out there.
Apparently. I don't know. He made this movie. But
why is it vital that she would stab him in the eye? I mean,
it's
what was
so
it like
tonally inconsistent. Anyway, before we get the deep dive into this, 10%. So that does mean people genuinely like this. I do have a theory.
Genuinely hated it. Critics.
No, it means that 10% of people
10%?
genuinely liked it.
Yeah. Wait, you said you had a question?
No, I have a theory, but we'll get to that after this.
Okay, so a few fresh tomatoes. William Bibiani from Crave Online says, an absolute triumph of cheese served with a generous helping of sleaze. All right, William. Matthew Licona from the San Diego Reader says, if it's trash, it at least has the sense to be gleeful about it. Gregory Wakeman from Cinema Blend says, it's not great, but it's also not bad. And in the end, that feels like a win. That's how he approaches everything in life. Not great, not bad, it's a win. Mara Reinstein from US Weekly says, it's all hilariously ridiculous, but bless J-Lo for trying her mightiest to sell it. if someone's going to bring sultriness to suburbia, it might as well be Jenny from the block.
Jesus.
And finally, Matt Donato from We Got This Covered says, when we're all sitting in a midnight screening of The Boy Next Door someday, throwing home-baked cookies at the screen, I'll be the one shouting, I told you so.
That guy nailed it.
Matt Donato nailed it?
That guy nailed it. Okay, so those first few of, like, it's gleeful about how sleazy it is. No. I mean...
It takes itself seriously.
Yeah, and much like Jennifer Lopez. And power to her. She's never been the type of person that can, have a sense of humor about herself, anything like that. That's perfectly fine. There's people like that, and to some extent, there's nothing wrong with that because she can. Fucking people like Dana White and fucking Donald Trump that have no sense of humor about themselves. That's not deserved. You're a fucking idiot. Jennifer Lopez wants to make a movie like this, play it completely serious. Complete miss, but fair fucks to her. She can do that.
And it made a lot of money.
It was more than 10 times its fucking budget. So, but homeboy there at the end, Matt LeBlanc or whatever his name was.
Joey.
That's exactly what I came away from with it. I was like, 1, I'm shocked I never heard of this movie. 2, I could easily see this being like a cult classic in the vein of...
Say it. You want to say Rocky Horror?
No. I was going to say like Valley of the Dolls or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Or... any of the Friday the 13th movies I fucking love. I could easily see this being run on a Terror Tuesday 10 years from now.
Right.
Or anything like that. Because it is, like, bad to the point of becoming almost self-parody, and it's entertaining. I do not, for a second, regret watching this movie. Things that are hilarious about it. Kristen Chenoweth being the man killer, and her best friend Jennifer Lopez can't find a date. Incredible. 2... She fucked a 19-year-old that she didn't know was going to be her student. Why didn't she just say, hey, principal, whatever, I made a mistake, can't do this. Police, hey, I fucked this kid, now he's stalking me. Then there would be a movie, though.
Right. There is no reason why. At some point, you could almost give her the first few instances of, wait, say something, and she doesn't because it's maybe kind of embarrassing that she hooked up with the neighbor who's so much younger than she is. But at some point... probably around the time that he tries to rape you in the bathroom, you just say, screw this, I'm calling the cops.
Yeah.
And nothing can be worse than whatever this guy's trying to...
No shit. She's just trying to protect, like, her social standing. And we were watching, I remember saying out loud, I was like, man, she's allowing this to happen to herself. And I was like, oh, man, I definitely don't want to say that on the podcast. But that's what I was just biting my tongue about. It's like, okay, get over yourself, social stigma. This is not worth protecting, your perceived image or whatever. And
right. Well, but here's the thing. It's not even because the movie is not trying to make that point anyway. It's not like the movie's trying to say, oh, she didn't tell anybody. She didn't go to authorities because she was afraid that she wasn't going to be believed.
The movie's trying to tell you, like, oh, I made this mistake and now, like, this guy's after me.
Right. The movie's just trying to not be logical. It's not that she doesn't go to the authorities because... she doesn't think that she has a believable story. It's just she doesn't go because, 1, the movie needs to keep going, and 2, they're playing as if, no, it's a mastermind that has planned everything perfectly, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
So it's just frustrating.
How did Noah get to this location with, like, it seemed like there was no police interrogation at all about the accident that happened with his dad.
Well, the cop, when she goes to talk to the cop that I guess was in charge of the investigation... he is so laid back. He's like Mark Ruffalo levels of chill. She's asking some very suspicious questions, and the cop just goes, "Is there anything I should know?" And then he just walks away.
What high school has a boxing team?
Well, in what high school, really, we mentioned it in Contrarians Corner, but why would he be left without supervision, security, alone with the vice principal?
Especially when she read his record and said he was kicked out for, like, violent tendencies.
Right. Why wouldn't you have this kid, at bare minimum, being watched by security, right? Instead, you're just letting him roam.
And also, like, he's in the junior class, the Grease syndrome. All these kids, they got to play, these high school kids, are, 5 o'clock shadow. They couldn't make it for Hairspray, so they went and got into. He would have
been more believable as the young dad of one of the students.
That'd be great. She's like taught like junior high instead, and he's
right.
like a 21-year-old dad. Be perfect. I'm trying to look at my notes here to see if there's anything else going on. Tonally, yeah, the violence comes out of nowhere at the end because it gets like really violent really quick, which again, for what I read this movie as, a swing and a miss, but such a colossal miss that it becomes entertaining. That's fine.
John Corbett as the dad trying to come back.
The sensible dad.
The sensible dad. He puts up with a lot, but really,
again, hilarious trope. Oh, my wife Jennifer Lopez doesn't do it for me, so I need to sleep with some secretary.
At least show us a secretary so we can make an impartial judgment call, a well-informed call.
I'm trying to think of who had been perfect casting for that. Travolta and drag.
He had different needs then that Jennifer Lopez could not fulfill at all.
No, I'm trying to think of who would be perfect in that role just based on, what we joke about here. Anyway, here nor there.
Mila Kunis, because you brought it up earlier.
Oh, man. Then that movie would be clearly written by a man.
John Corbett has to decide between two gorgeous women.
I can't figure it out.
Do I go with the really hot one that's closer to my age or the really hot one that's 20 years younger than me? I don't know. There's like
in theaters this January. Yeah, and again, the hilarity of it being 2015 and J-Lo looking like she's trying to... It's like that scene where she goes into his house looking for the tape. It's like a scene from The Net from 1993 with Sandra Bullock, looking for a floppy disk or something.
Which she's looking for an actual fishing net.
And the best part is like when she goes to leave, the decrepit old uncle's like, Jennifer Lopez, what are you doing here? And then she doesn't even say anything to him. She's just like, no one's going to believe this old fuck, and just leaves the house. Yeah, it's so dumb, but I found myself enthralled and hypnotized by what I was watching.
But this is one of those, I try to not do this in a serious matter, to call a movie trash in a serious matter, but it is trash because it's trashy, right? I mean, not trash as in like, man, the people working behind it.
It's not trash like Cannibal Holocaust or like something that like the people in charge had gross motives and were treating people badly.
It's just as in like trash as in the material itself is trashy, right?
Yeah.
And so
smut.
Yes. Because clearly, come on, there's no way that this movie is trying to say anything other than, hey, we're going to titillate you for a little bit. Can you give us your money?
You're thinking too much of it by thinking it's trying to say anything.
No, but I would like to think that Jennifer Lopez signs up as an executive producer here because she wants to have some sort of control over the material, and you want to do something about it, right? I mean,
you'd think. That executive producer thing sometime. One of the weirdest ones I ever saw, me and Eddie discovered this together. Ben Stiller was an executive producer on that horror movie, The Ruins.
Right, but, I mean...
I'm just saying, like, those things come and go in very odd shapes and forms, but...
Well, I think that there's a difference
But to the
between...
point, to piggyback on yours and to kind of invalidate what I just said, it's clear that Jennifer Lopez was on board because she used her own wardrobe to help out the fucking budget. Yeah,
I think that you can be a disconnected executive producer, somebody like Ben Stiller that maybe did something for the production and in return he gets the credit. Or you can be an actor that's actively helping the movie get produced because you're in it and you believe in the project, and then you get the credit.
Like the fucking 24 producers credits Brad Pitt has just for, here's money, leave me alone, give me some credit.
He gave somebody a handshake. He shook someone's hand and then something happened. And then, so I don't know. I mean, there is a lot of the quotes that I didn't get to read would bring up Fatal Attraction. And I've never seen Fatal Attraction, but I know the basic story, right?
Is Fatal Attraction the one with Glenn Close or Demi Moore?
No, Glenn Close. Demi Moore is... Infidelity? I don't know, but I know
it's
what
both Mike Douglas, right?
Yes, yeah. The Mike Douglas trilogy.
My man. Just drop in Denzel, my man, right
there. The Mike Douglas trilogy. It's Fatal Attraction, Basic Instinct, and then the Demi Moore one.
Yeah.
He's he had a good ride in the 90s.
He did. I've told you, I quoted this on the last podcast, but that's one of my favorite Chappelle Show quotes where he talks about himself in his 20s and he's like, with a sexual appetite that would make Mike Douglas seem gay.
Well, but Fatal Attraction, I think I mean, I feel silly talking about it not having seen it, but to me, it's a clear don't cheat on your wife kind of morality tale, right? It's just he had a good family, he had a good thing going on, he cheats on her, and then, oh, it's a crazy woman, and then she comes to try to kill him, and then the family remains united after, whatever. But this is not even that, because she was not in the wrong, right? Unless the movie's really punishing her for not forgiving John Corbett, right? Which is crazy. I mean, I know I said that in Contrarians Corner, but in Contrarians Corner, I was just being an ass. Here, I don't really believe that that is the stance the movie should take.
No.
But is it taking it? Because she's in the right? If she wants to sleep with a 19-year-old neighbor, why not? She's separated. Her husband doesn't live with her. And, I mean, it's probably not the best decision, but it's not. It definitely doesn't warrant what happens later. You could argue that Mike Douglas in Fatal Attraction cheating on his wife warrants a little bit, well, you kind of had it coming. But in J-Lo's case, she was even trying to go out and date, and she was having really bad luck.
And she's like clearly scoping her prey beforehand. She's like checking him out, watching him change the alternator on a truck and all that.
Scoping her prey. No, but I'll tell you, if this movie, and I do wonder if Barbara Curran wrote a different kind of movie and then production changed it into this, right?
That's a fair point.
And
fair question.
I mean, The Boy Next Door, what if it's really a boy next door? What if it's an underage kid and she doesn't know that he's underage, right? What if she had sex with a 17-year-old? That changes everything. That makes the entire movie make sense, because then, well, that's why you wouldn't go to the cops.
Yeah.
But, of course, that makes her character very reprehensible.
Yeah.
But that is a much better story. That's an ickier story, but that would make a better movie if you pulled it off. I mean, you don't give that movie to Rob Cohen, I guess.
No.
You need to give it to somebody that can...
Lars Van Trier.
Yes.
Like, again, it was all just kind of smut movie, so I was okay with it. But the part where he's, like, groping her in the kitchen while her son and husband, like, that was a bit much. And then, when he's trying to rape her in the bathroom, it's like, oh, God, we've crossed the line. It's no longer fun.
I'm not having fun anymore.
Let's bring it back. Bring it back. Forgot the point I was going to make. Probably wasn't much of one, but...
Well, wouldn't it also be creepier if it was a 17-year-old doing the things that Noah's doing here?
Mm-hmm.
You can see a 17-year-old being savvy enough to do the ridiculous things that Noah does in this movie.
It'd just be Fish Tank.
Yes.
Jennifer Lopez just backhanding Ryan Guzman.
Well, I mean, you can have a 17-year-old that's fit, that can fight, and maybe he doesn't have to be...
plenty of them across the country every year. You hear of female teachers, and that works both ways. Male teachers also sleeping with their students. Yeah,
I think that you could make a more complex movie if it was just an ickier movie. But instead here it's just technically...
a standard January release.
Yes, two adults having consensual sex, and then, you just turn into like a boring, ridiculous stalker movie. So,
acting for what the movie was fine.
I wasn't crazy about the kid, but I don't think that's his
Ryan
son.
Guzman or Kevin?
Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin was not good.
I didn't say the man. I said the kid. Kristen Chenoweth always bringing it.
Yeah. I don't know who played the school principal, but he was no nonsense. He was a by the books dude, and I appreciated that.
It's like, why? The one scene where he reads her the riot act after she's logged him out and started class late, and then I like that he pulls her out and he says, the janitor said that he saw you touching him.
Yeah.
And then she says, I was not being forceful or whatever. And then he goes, I'm not questioning your moral integrity, but I'm questioning your behaviors. I'm not doing this, but I am doing this.
Yeah, I mean, what you had told me about it when I saw 10%, I was like, Jesus, it's going to be Christmas with the Cranks or some shit. But
so I guess when I ask you, is it worse than Christmas with the Cranks?
God, no. Again, I mean, that movie's got an undefeated record that will stand the test of time until I'm proven wrong.
But as an opening salvo for the Contrarians, year 5? Yeah, year 5.
My God.
I think we're off to a good start.
Yeah, quite the banger.
Now, as far as like J-Lo's debut here in the show, well, she could have done better, I guess.
She could have done worse too.
That's true. She has some clunkers in her filmography.
Yeah, I was looking over her filmography. It's not an embarrassment of riches.
There's some really good stuff too. I mean, I mentioned it in the last episode.
She's not starving, so I don't think she really cares. But
the Contrarians? Who? They think what of my career?
Shut them down. There's really not much more to be said about that. I think it's certainly something that I could see myself watching from time to time when I need a bad movie on in the background.
Whenever you need a break from the Julianne Moore, Mark Ruffalo gifs on your phone, you can now go to Ryan Guzman and Jennifer Lopez.
Get that sweet, sweet man ass that we get within like the first 5 minutes of the movie.
I think this movie is worth sharing with somebody who hasn't seen it before, just to get their reaction when the sex scene gets real.
Yeah.
Because that was the best part of watching it this time, when you reacted to the fact that we hadn't gotten like a fade to black. Mm-hmm. Instead, he went straight for her boobs.
Yeah.
He carried her to bed, and then you thought that was done. And then, no, she's still
just kept going.
And the camera keeps panning up to her face.
Yeah, it's like blue's the warmest color. I was like, all right.
Fade
to black.
We're in for the long haul.
Definitely, if I was grading it as a film, like a D. But, again, what that last reviewer said absolutely hit the nail on the head. I could definitely see this becoming the cult classic type movie.
Yeah, dude, this is like star and a half. Maybe that extra half star is because it's fun to watch with friends.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's it. No, I mean, the critics got it right this time.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a fucking stinker if you're just judging it from an artistic standpoint. Fortunately, we're not. Speaking of stinkers, moving along to plugs.
Let me plug some stinkers.
No, I've talked about this before on here, where sometimes it's paid off and other times it hasn't. I started a new show on Netflix. I got so far into it that I was like, all right, I have to finish this now. But it sucks. It's this show called I'm Sorry.
What's it about? Tell me, because I might have heard about it and just don't know the title. That's pretty impressive that you would do that, though, because I used to give shows 6 episodes, and I don't do that anymore because I have so much that I want to watch that I'll give them 2 tops.
So one of the people in it, you're going to be mad at me for saying it sucks.
Is it Josh Gad?
It is not. It's close. It's created by, written by, and starring Andrea Savage, who's a female comedic actor, comedian. The thing I've been able to say that people know her from, she was the psychiatrist that ends up dating Will Ferrell's character in Step Brothers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Step Brothers in a while, so I couldn't tell you.
Let me see if I can find something else. Anyway, it's just this really shitty comedy that really isn't funny.
Netflix
from True TV. But her husband is played by Spartacus himself, Tom Everett Scott.
Oh, no.
He's not used that much in it, so it's no fault of his own. But it's also got Rafi from The League, which I've never been able to pronounce his name, the guy who does the podcast.
Right.
How Did This Get Made? Jason
Mantzoukas.
Mantzoukas, is that how you pronounce it?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Which, he's fucking hilarious, but he's great and everything. So, like, I'm mad. Like, I'm, like, hate watching it at this point.
No. I mean, you had to say Tom Everett Scott. That's all. I would have watched the entire thing, too.
I mean, there is funny stuff to it, but it's one of those things at this point, you can't just do fuck, shit, cock, poop jokes for comedy. Like, if it's going to be a serious, there's got to be some...
So what is the hook? What are they sorry for?
I don't know. I still don't know. Like,
show?
Yeah, I don't. Apparently, Judy Greer's in a few episodes. So when I saw that, I was like, all right. But it's like all the parts of it seem like it should work, but it just kind of falls flat. It's not actively bad. It's
Halloween's Judy Greer,
who's there for the entire length of the movie, much to my surprise. And like that show Love.
Yeah,
I remember that was one that I was like, I don't know, but then it really pulled it around in the end. So That's the thing. They got their hooks in me. Aside from that, before I throw it over to Julio for his plugs, getting my normal stuff out of the way, the festive years, we always appreciate them providing our opening and closing tracks. Opening Last Stand, closing Summer of 99. Their album Don't Let Me Use You. Google, Bandcamp, find them where you need to.
I saw they posted new tracks on their Twitter.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I just didn't get around to downloading them, but yeah. Also, Hans Rodgieser,
Absolutely.
the man behind their logo. He has his own podcast, Nación Combi. You can contact him at Mil Demonios on Twitter, MILDEMONIOS. You can tell him that you love his podcast, or you can tell him that you would like a logo and start that conversation. You can just tell him that he's cool. Whatever you want to do. You also email him at mildemonios@hotmail.com.
Get it.
Plug-wise, first, a few episodes ago, we mentioned the Recasting Couch podcast where they recast movies. And I was like, oh, we don't have a promo for them. Well, they have a promo. They emailed it to me.
Awesome.
So we can play it, and I'll play right now.
Hey everyone, it's Chris and Mike from the Recasting Couch, the podcast where we take our favorite movies and discuss what they would be like with new actors in all the lead roles. Hey Mike, tell them where they can find us on social media.
You can find our website at therecastingcouch.com or on Twitter at recastingpod. And of course, you can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Android, or anywhere else you find your favorite podcasts.
Yeah, if there's a service that's not posting our pod, you let us know and we will rectify that immediately.
Damn right.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
So that was their Recasting Couch. Listen to them. Also, since we're on the Netflix topic, I will say I've been meaning to plug this show for a while, and I haven't because I was waiting until I could watch the second season, and I still haven't. But I have no doubt that it's as great as the first season. It's called Atypical. Have you seen it show up on your Netflix browsing?
Yes.
It's basically it's a comedy. Main character is this kid that has autism, and it's basically about his family and just the relationships between them, and because obviously they're having trouble dealing with it. The mom is like very much into taking care of him and helping him navigate school, and he has a job, and then his sister kind of like takes care of him too, but she's a little more tough love. And then the dad, he was originally checked out, and now he's trying to come back into his life. It's so good. It's funny. It's heartbreaking. It's such a good show that I usually have to take a break in between episodes.
Oh, wow.
It's just the first season was only 8 episodes, but I need to take a break in between because it hits you so hard.
Oh, Michael
And-
Rappaport's in it.
Yeah, he's the
Okay.
dad. It's career best performance in
Wow.
my mind. Yeah, he's so good in it because he's playing this sensitive side of the dad character. That's not usually what you associate with Michael Rappaport, right? Michael Rappaport, I'm always thinking broad comedy, but no, here he's playing this guy that really he has no idea how to do this, how to be the father of an autistic kid, and so he's trying to learn. So it's really cool.
Interesting.
Second season dropped like, oh man, I don't know, maybe like a month ago, maybe more, and I just haven't had the peace of mind to like sit down and really devote the attention I want to this show. And it's almost because I don't know how popular it was, right? So it was so cool that it got a second season. And of course now, if it doesn't get a third one, I'm going to feel so bad because I'm going to feel that it was my fault for not binging the second season as soon as it came out. There's also a couple of really cool movies on Netflix that I watched. Have you seen, well, actually, one is Netflix, one is Amazon Prime. Did you watch Blue Ruin or Green Room when they came out?
No.
So I watched Blue Ruin. It was on Netflix for a while. I don't think it is anymore. It's this guy, writer and director, Jeremy Saunier. I was not crazy about Blue Ruin, which is why I didn't go watch Green Room when it came out, which was his follow-up. It had, oh man, what's the name of that guy that played Scotty in the new Star Trek?
Simon Pegg?
No, Simon Pegg is not Scotty. Oh, no, yeah, Simon Pegg is Scotty. The guy that played Chekhov.
Anton Yelkin?
Yes, Anton Yelkin is in it. He's the main guy. It's about
R.I.P.
I know, he's so good in it too. It's a really solid cast. Captain Picard, speaking of Star Trek, he plays the main bad guy. It's about this punk band that goes to plays a gig in this kind of out of the way neo-Nazi bar, and then of course shit happens and they end up being trapped there. It's just them against the neo-Nazis. It's a pretty awesome thriller, and the reason I finally watched it was because I watched Saunier's newest movie, which was a Netflix original. It's called Hold the Dark. It's not at all like his past two movies in the sense that it's very slow paced and it's very murky in the way that it tells you some things, but it has some amazing sequences in it. And when the movie was over, I'm going to be vague about it because I don't want to give anything away. I think part of the fun of the movie is trying to figure out like what the hell is this movie trying to say, and not in the sense of what the hell is the boy next door trying to say, but more as in like, wow, how do I read this? And I loved it so much that then I was like, okay, I need to watch Green Room now because I like this one so much. I don't care how much I dislike Blue Ruin. Mm-hmm. Green Room, it might be closer to this. And of course, Green Room is a very intense, really fast-paced thriller, the complete opposite of Hold the Dark. Hold the Dark, I can tell you the setup. This guy comes in. He's an author. He's written a book about wolves, played by Jeffrey Wright, and he's summoned by this woman who lives in like the wilderness, and she claims that her son has been taken by the wolves, and so all she wants is like the guy to go and like kill the wolves that took her kid, because she has nothing to bury, and her husband is off in the war. When he comes back, she wants to be able to tell him at least this happened, and I got this done. And that starts the movie, but then it gets really fucking weird. And it's so good, man. I can't tell you, and I don't want to spoil anything, so you just kind of have to go watch it. But watch it when you have time, because if you're going to watch Green Room, which is on Amazon Prime, that's an easy watch, because it's just like non-stop. It's just thrills and neo-Nazis, easy villains, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're watching Hold the Dark, you're kind of going to be on unsteady footing the entire time. So you want to make sure you have your 2 hours blocked out. You don't want to make a break in between the movie. But it's definitely worth watching.
Interesting. Well, I got a lot on my docket now.
Well, yeah.
Need to rewatch The Man Next Door and fire up my Netflix.
Well, you can fast forward to the scenes that matter.
Where she just knees him in the groin and says, "I don't know you. That's my purse." All right, so that was The Boy Next Door. What's our next episode going to be?
We actually haven't decided yet.
Okay.
It'll be a surprise for you listeners. I'm sure I'll put it out on Twitter and Facebook once we finally figure it out. I was thinking of, I might have mentioned it already in the podcast and I still haven't done it. I want to do a coming soon page on the webpage, so we have a list of future episodes.
So you and I can remember?
Yes, mainly for us.
Cool. We'll look into that. But for the interim, for the now, we want to thank you guys for listening to The Contrarians, where we're right and you're wrong. And we will catch you next time.
The summer of 1999, back when you blew my mind and told me secrets in the dark are just fine. Thanks for asking, I just can't quite get by. That time in 1999, the summer of 1999.
When your classmates became aware of your relationship with Ms. Luna, what happened at school?
I just remember giving thousands of high fives.
Did the kids call you names?
Yes, ma'am. The man, luckiest guy ever, my hero, baller, Lil Pimp, Lil Baller, the one, Goodyear Pimp, Fred Pimpstone, Ren and Pimpy, King of the Teachers, After School Special, Teacher's Petter, The Boy Who Lived, Gavin the Great, Magic the Gavining, Legend, Supercalifragilistic, This Be Such a Dope Kid, and He Who Has Sex with Teachers. I'm sorry, that's all I can remember, but those were the main ones.
Noted. Now, Mr. Daly, were you bullied as a result of the affair?
No, I would describe it as the end of the movie Rudy, and I was Rudy.
Are you okay, Your Honor?
Yeah, it's just this guy. Extra credit.